She watches it. I know. That's right. We were shocked. I could not find that. It's not part of all the where's my bear? Okay. I will call us to order. This is the Yamhill County Board of Commissioners formal session for October 19th, 2023. It is 10:01 in the morning. And Commissioner Johnston, would you please lead us in the flag salute?
Yes.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Thank you. This brings us to item C, which is our calendar session. We've added a few things for next Thursday. Next Thursday is going to be a very busy day. It looks like we've got the 4-H award ceremony in the evening, and then an AOC meeting, which I don't know that we're going to make that one, but
That's in the morning.
I think it's at 1. There's a public safety one or a revenue one at 1 o'clock. I would be surprised if we make that, but and then Christian, did you want to talk about potential executive session?
I've been discussing the possibility of a executive session before formal session next Thursday. I think we talked about maybe starting at 9 o'clock. So I wanted just to confirm that would work for everyone's schedule. Thinking that there's a lot on next week's agenda, it might be easier to have that conversation before, and then we would get it noticed ahead of time. So if that timing works, we'll work on that for now.
Do you think we need a full hour or 9:30?
Might be best.
An hour?
As long as that time period works between 9 and 10, if we think about it and then maybe don't start until 9:30, we can do that too. Just wanted to make sure that folks would be available to start a little bit earlier next Thursday.
So that's not definite. That's just proposed at this point.
Yeah,
Or
and
to
if,
not
and
do.
if it becomes something that we decide is necessary, then we'll make sure it gets noticed ahead of time sufficiently,
Okay.
as long as that time period works.
There's also a soil and water conservation district dinner at 5:30 on Thursday, next Thursday. But that will be on the calendar,
I think that conflicts with 4-H.
kind of.
Oh.
My plan was I was gonna start there because it's right down the road
Oh,
and
okay.
then walk over to the 4-H by
6:30.
6:30.
6:30.
Okay.
Well, that's when it starts, but I think the awards start at 7. Not
Did
sure.
we notice soil and water? Oh, okay. Okay. Anything else to add to the calendar?
No.
Okay, moving on to public comment. Item D. This time period is reserved for public comment on any topic other than an agenda item, a quasi judicial land use matter, or a topic scheduled for a public hearing. So if there's anyone in the audience or online who would like to offer public comment or anything that is not on the agenda, please come forward or raise your virtual hand. Looks like we have Mr. Flood.
Good morning, Commissioners. Can
Welcome, Mr. Flood. If you could state your name and address for the record.
Yes, my name is Kevin Flood. I'm at 856 Howard Jordan Loop in Dayton, Oregon.
We can't hear you if you're speaking.
Can you hear me now? Can you guys hear me? Hello?
There we go. Now we can,
Okay,
thank you. If you could state your name and address for the record, please.
certainly. My name is Kevin Flood and I'm at 856 Howard Jordan Loop in Dayton, Oregon.
Thank you, Mr. Flood.
You're welcome. And I guess I'll just start by saying this is the first time I've ever tried to interact with commissioners or any type of government entity, and it's a little bit intimidating to me, but I feel like I really need to do this. But first, I'm just going to start by acknowledging that the commissioner's work, particularly Ms. Starrett and Ms. Burschauer. I commend you for what you do. I respect your leadership, and from what I can see, I respect your values. With that said, I'm going to have to, I hate to start my first interaction with you guys in a negative fashion, but I'm very disappointed in the lack of interest. I'm assuming you're familiar with my employment with Yamhill County Public Works, in particular, Mr. Johnston. It's my understanding that you are the public liaison, and I can't say that I understand what capacity or what you are able to do in that position, but I've reached out and expressed some allegations about Yamhill County Public Works Management that has been just ignored, and I'm just disappointed that I've made these allegations that are substantial allegations in my mind. I don't know about you guys if you're familiar with them, but I'll just start out with saying the department heads have the power to affect the many employees' lives in this county, and they do. And from what I've seen, my experience is they go unchecked. And it's also my understanding that it's the Board of Commissioners' job, correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm not going to say that I'm 100% confident in this, but it's my understanding that the Board of Commissioners are in place to hold these people accountable, and that would be your county administrator, who's just totally dismissed what I've said, and as well as your department heads. You guys are responsible to hold them accountable. That said, I understand that they all have complex jobs. I understand that you lean on them for their leadership, but I really have a problem that it just seems like they're not held accountable. And I'm going to go on to say that I was victimized. Myself and my family were victimized without consequence. And I think, and I'm assuming again that you guys have read some of my emails. And I would appreciate if you could let me know if you have or not. But ultimately, there's been lies spread about me that ultimately led in my termination of employment. Okay, now that lie that I'm talking about was that I was accused of sleeping in the mower. And I have totally denied that. And the reason I denied it is because it's just simply not true. They have no evidence of it other than the vegetation manager that Mark Lago hired. I also applied for that vegetation management job, you should know. And I applied for all vegetation management jobs in my 2-year tenure there. I'm a certified arborist. I have a pesticide applicator license, and I'm well suited for that position. Now, Director Lago is saying that he's saying that I am upset because I don't get what I want. Now, to me, what I want is a little bit of respect. And I have failed. He's right. I have failed to get, and I don't know what I needed to do to earn Mr. Lago's respect. I was cordial. I was kind. I was respectful to him. But for whatever reason, I'm assuming he just didn't like me. And he went to such extreme where I don't know if he had anything to do with this lie, but me sleeping in the mower, there was absolutely no evidence for, other than the guy that he hired had come back and told him that I had slept in the mower. Okay, now that said, in my Loudermill allegations that Mark Lago got to write, now keep in mind, Mark Lago was the criminal and he was allowed to write his narrative, and whatever he wanted to write, they went with, and they did, and they used it to fire me. And keep in mind, in that Loudermill notice, there's 9 allegations, and not one of them is about me sleeping in the mower, because he knows he doesn't have evidence and it wouldn't stand. He used the Loudermill notice. He used his power and leveraged my anger about the lie about me sleeping in the mower. He leveraged my anger and accused me of bullying, harassing, and even violently threatening, which is just absolutely crazy. But where I'm left is no job, and I have a family to support, and I have to figure out where I'm going to go from here. And the administrator, you guys should also know that I filed a discrimination harassment claim against the director. Now the administrator claims that it was unsubstantiated, and I don't know what I need to do to substantiate it. It's all in it's up to that guy. And you guys don't seem interested in learning about it, and it's just disappointing. So I'm sorry, I'm a little emotional, but I'm just really upset and disappointed in the whole process. I hope I've presented some circumstances that are worthy that you guys will look into and consider addressing. And I'll just keep it brief because I know you guys have plenty of county business to attend to. So thank you for listening.
Thank you, Mr. Flood. I do want to acknowledge your thoughtful statement. We can't obviously comment on any legal matters that are in front of us, but we do acknowledge your emails. And I just want to say that we do rely on our administrator and our department heads to handle these personnel issues that come up and certain problems that come up. And we are going to continue to rely on them. That's part of our administrative structure. It's what they do. And so we will follow up with Mr. Huffer. But thank you.
Okay, can I just chime in real quick if you don't mind?
Briefly, please.
Okay, I have a problem with the structure and how it's just, I understand you rely on your administrators, and I understand the need for that, but it seems kind of, and I'm not saying that you guys have done this, but nobody's responded to me. And it seems silly to dismiss my allegations against your administrator and against your director that are, I've laid it out. It's not an upset employee. It's a real genuine story, and you guys are just going to dismiss it. So thanks for listening again. You guys enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you, Mr. Flood.
Flood. Thank you.
Okay, is there any further public comment, either online or in the audience? Okay. Seeing none, we will move on to item E, which is our department updates. There's nothing today. Item F is our work session, nothing today. Consent agenda, there's nothing. And that brings us to item H, which is old business. H1 is discussion regarding the potential closure of High Heaven Road Gate, and this is continued from October 12th of 2023. So just a few updates, and Christian has been working on the revised draft of this, but there's sort of, 4 main changes, I guess, or takeaways. The first is that after much discussion back and forth with Weyerhaeuser, Hampton, and Manulife, and kind of on the heels of our last discussion about what is the activity going to be even after the gates are closed, it was determined that the easiest, most common sense way to handle this is really to close the gates upon declaration of wildfire season, rather than using a risk level that then changes potentially every week for a while before it stays there. So that's a change that is reflected in the draft. That closure will happen upon declaration of the wildfire season, which is typically June, July.
It's around June 1st.
And then the end of wildfire season, which I believe was in October, beginning of
Generally
October.
around October 1st.
The other change is not necessarily the tabs and who is assigned the tab blocks, but it's that Yamhill County will be responsible for really tracking and reviewing who gets a key. So it'll be more on a request basis, and then we review the request and then grant the key, rather than just saying, if you live here in this area, you get a key. A little bit easier for, it kind of tightens that control up a little bit there. And then obviously we've discussed the use of the gates during wildfire season. I believe it was Manulife that said that they are planning to log some of that area over the next 2 summers. So there will be traffic going in and out. They described it as most of the time we open the gate and shut the gate behind us. But sometimes if we're moving log trucks back and forth or rock trucks or whatever, the gate has to stay open all day. So that's a possibility.
Yeah.
And then obviously a reminder that even despite this, this does not restrict foot traffic or bike traffic or equestrian traffic. That is still open for the public to access. So are there any questions on the draft that Christian put together? Okay, and we do have sign off by Weyerhaeuser, Hampton, and Manulife.
Yeah, we've heard from all three, and we did also confirm with Hampton that they are prepared and understand that their operation of the gate, the open and closing of the gate, is also subject to the permit, and they're fine with that. And then we had also talked briefly about whether or not we know that at least Weyerhaeuser has some private leases that could impact some of this land up there, but we did also confirm with Weyerhaeuser that their private lessees will not be using the lower gate, which is the gate that Weyerhaeuser controls. So that should limit their opening of that gate to their forest management activities.
So I know that's a bit of a change with the closure, kind of the trigger for the closure. Any thoughts on that?
It seems reasonable, cleans it up a little bit,
Mhm.
keeps us from going through closure, non-closure,
Right.
closure. I'm assuming the same entity is still making that decision, Oregon Department of Forestry, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
ODF. And they typically do their blast to everyone. You know, if you sign up, you get it on your phone. So we would know when
I always
what's
get mine
happening.
through the Mac Fire Department
Yeah.
phone number, so yeah.
Yeah, and I spoke with Scott Marlega from Weyerhaeuser. I didn't speak directly with Manulife or Hampton, but Scott felt pretty confident that they know they get notice
Yeah.
somehow, either through
Yeah.
the public notice or direct notice somehow from Department of Forestry. They have folks who are monitoring that, so they know they'll know almost immediately when wildfire season is declared, and then when it's officially ended.
Has it ended for this year? I haven't been paying
Mhm.
attention.
Yeah, it ended
Weeks ago
a
or?
couple weeks ago.
Around October 1st, I
Yeah.
think. But yeah, maybe not quite on the 1st, but yeah, I think it's been officially declared. Last when I spoke with Scott, I think he indicated that it had already been declared officially over.
I'm wondering if, and I don't know how hard it would be for, and it may exist, but for Oregon Department of Forestry